Hello, everyone. Good day, and welcome to this week's episode. This is episode 207 of the Leon the Great podcast. All your source in tech and the good, the bad, the ugly, all the fun stuff we're going to talk about. Anything, anywhere that has to involve the culture of the internet. And yes, we are going to end up doing a lot more news on crypto. So it's not just TED Talk, but crypto talk as well. Definitely want to go ahead and introduce more into that in my segment on my podcast, which I think it's going to be awesome. So this is going to be a fun thing I'm going to be doing, starting here now and forever on onto the podcast because crypto is going to continue to grow. I will say that becoming pro crypto has just been something that I've been watching out, buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, just little by little over time. Not all at once, but definitely going to see where I go, especially about growing my portfolio because this is good good I'm seeing with crypto, and I see things are starting to become a lot more bullish. So introducing that into my podcast hasn't been more fun from and I have to tell you guys, crypto is a very big deal for me, and that's something I wanted to bring into the show. So anyways, in today's podcast of episode 207, not just crypto talk we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about um, the CES, so the most powerful tech event in the world. So Consumer Electronics Show. So that is what we're going to be talking about today in the Leon the Great podcast. So, and that is the coverage of the this week, because I know I have a lot to go over, a lot to that I'm going to be speaking about on CES, which the annual trade show, which takes place every year in Las Vegas Convention Center. And this is something I've really wanted to catch up, keep up with the new tech, what's going on, the robots, and a lot of things happening there too. And as I'm recording this show here in this icy cold weather here in good old Georgia, and in here in the south side, looks like I'll be expecting some ice, more ice throughout the day, and that is one good reason I am not going to work today. Only because I do not want to be stuck in the winter wonderland hellhole and having to drive to work. It's not going to be fun. No, it's not. But that's one thing I would say is while the East Coast is experiencing some snow and some ice along the way, I definitely wanted to take the time to talk about a little bit before I get into the segment of podcasting to technology and CES news, which I know there's a lot of news happening throughout the week, and totally understand that just over 24 hours ago, I mean, I've been just getting the feeds from the fires that's been going on in LA. As many of you know, it's truly devastating what's happening, and the homes are just in a loss, and it's just an obliteration, which are very awful. What's happening in LA? As I'm going through the morning right now, just getting up throughout the aftermath, basically the aftermath of the fires. Pretty much, I'm just going through the situation. It's just horrible. And I try to stay away as much of what's going on Twitter. I know when people go on Twitter, and I know people will, well, how can I put it this way? try to get very upset with the situations and with the government in California. And as much as I try to stay away because I know it can be very very toxic on both sides, but very much so as things I was checking up. One of my favorite podcasters, home, Kevin Rose. I'm just thinking about him. I just thinking about what's going on with the families, many of the families that's living in LA, and many of the people going on in that's going through this situation. So many homes burnt down and so many people, and I really feel bad for the many people going through that's going on in California. But in results of it too, I do have to say that it does comes to the fault of the incompetency of the Californian government, which I do think that there are there are things that I mean a lot has unfolded within the last 24 hours, especially when you're trying to take out fires. I mean, though when I check the live feeds on the, or actually I shouldn't say live feeds, but the pre-recorded feeds on Twitter, I in whenever I go and look, it's just an awful thing to see, and even getting up in the morning trying to check up Twitter, which to me I try to avoid as much as possible. Try to bring more positivity to activity in the day, and it's hard to avoid it. I know people say, well, sometimes I just want to stay ignorant and not look at the news. Well, it's easy for anybody to do that. While it is true, but then again, like how could you avoid such news like this too? Which very much so. I when I looked at the news, it almost feels, man, how did we let this go on? And that's one thing I can say with everything happening, and this was pretty much last 24 hours. And surprise, it shouldn't be no surprise, but it should be a wake up call. Is how the hell do we not have waters going through the fire hydrants? I never understood that. If you have fires going around in the LA area, I mean, wouldn't you have water already prepared where issues like that's supposed to happen? Let's see. I mean, fires happen all the time in California. I mean, isn't this something that what anyone would have been prepared for? I mean, I just I go about this and say, man, how did we let these incompetent fools not fund fire, the fire department? And that should have been in the books, and letting this all happen. My God! But honestly, the whole situation is just sad from top to bottom, and to put this out there, very very sickening. But regardless, I I am just going out and pray for the people that is that is going through this tough situation. But anyways, with that said, I definitely want to go ahead and switch to a topic that's a little bit more at the positive side, because definitely this topic is a CES conversation, and plus in the addition to CES, I'm definitely going to go and give my two thoughts and my 2 cents about the decline on Google. And there is more to come, and I can't wait to share you guys more on my latest comment on this. So before I continue on with the day's segment, I want to go ahead and give a few words of my sponsors. And today is Anchor. Anchor, if you guys don't know about Anchor, if you are looking to charge your phone, there are good chargers out there with Anchor. And this is something a device I've used for some time. And I have to say, great stuff, and I would definitely recommend to anybody that's looking to use to charge their phone pretty fast. And they now sell pretty good at USB-C ports. port chargers, which I've used in the past with my previous iPhone SE second edition, and this is something I would use again with Google Pixel 8 Pro, which is my current phone. Some a phone that I would definitely use again too. With that said, try out Anchor. And my oldest sponsor is Zenni. Zenni.com, your one-stop shop for anti-blue light glasses. Wherever you're working or gaming or doing whatever, you're definitely gonna need it to protect your eyes, which is something I would definitely recommend. Check out Zenni's. Check on the links below. And next is Humble Bundle, and then lastly is Web Hosting Pad. If you're looking to have a website up or trying to have a new idea come up into place, Web Hosting Pad is a great place to start a domain. So if you want to do that, check out webhostingpad.com. I'll have the affiliate links down below. But with all that said, let's get right into the main topic of the show. Let's hit it, boys and gals. And now going over CES right now. So starting off with the what's been happening and what things I would say the majority of the week I've missed. We're going to catch up right now. So CES 2025 is here. What can we expect from the annual show of all things tech? So reading over here, which says New York AP, CES, the annual trade show of all things tech, is upon us. The multi-day event organized by the Consumer Technology Associations kicks off this week in Las Vegas, where swaths of the latest gadgets, advanced across industries like personal tech, transportation, healthcare, sustainability, and more are set to be on display. And like last year, artificial intelligence is everywhere you look, and that which is true. CES 2024 saw more than 138,000 attendees, according to the CTA, and organizers expect to see at least that amount again for this year's show. Over 4,500 exhibitors, including 1,400 startups, are also anticipated across 2.5 million net square feet of floor space this week. These are the people getting together, focusing on solving some of the world's biggest problems, and the magic occurs. Gary Shapiro, CEO and vice chair of the CTA, told the Associated Press ahead of this week's show, formerly known as the Consumer Electronics Show. CES brings attendees and exhibitors from around the globe, with Shapiro noting that organizers expect some 50,000 attendees to come from outside the U.S. beyond an array of startups. Big name companies set to make appearances this year include NVIDIA, Delta Airlines, Honda, Volvo, Panasonic, and L'Oreal. There may be some increased security this year. CES 2025 arrives less than 1 week after highly decorated army soldier fatally shot himself in a Tesla Cybertruck packed with explosives. Now, this is the another thing. Before I continue on reading the AP right here, I wanted to go out and just say that as far as the tech goes, this is one tech I will say about Tesla. I think, believe it or not, Tesla is going to be on a slump after the whole Cybertruck incident. Now, I will say that their stock with Tesla is still staying, I would say, quite strong. Now, you look at it this way, you don't know how that's going to impact. Now, you will say, oh, well, probably Tesla will still do well. I'm not sure, because how many people are going to continue to purchase electrical vehicles? Now, that's just one thing too. And believe me, when I continue to go on, now I've only ridden about two Tesla vehicles. I say the one with the gull wings, I think it's the Model X and then the Model S. So I'll tell you, my side by side comparison is, for one, it's not the most sexiest, but I do think that there are some interior flaws with their device. Sure, the chassis, the body may look gray. Just so you know, it's not going to be everything because if you want my opinion with anything, is my problem is that sure you'll love the that it's all electric, it's battery, but batteries do wear out, and this is one thing I've noticed with the whole Cybertruck incident. This was what, a couple days ago, where it blew up in, if I'm not mistaken, this was in a Trump hotel. And let me just continue reading to see where it says the Tesla a Cybertruck packed with explosives before it burst into flames outside of President-elect Donald Trump's hotel in Las Vegas, not far from much of the trade show's planned event space. Which that's actually pretty interesting. Where that it only took place actually not too far away from the Donald Trump's hotel in Las Vegas, which is not too far from the event space. That's ironically interesting. So, so continue on here. Shapiro said that organizers regularly work with officials for event safety, and that honestly changes were made in response to recent events, but couldn't go into further detail. Okay, I see. The AP spoke with Shapiro about what to expect for CES 2025. The conversation has been edited and clarity for length. CES 2025 is here. What are the main themes we can expect this week? CES 2025 will be exceptional leap forward in terms of innovation and technology, with a focus on a variety of themes important to the future of humanity. Over 4,000 showing solutions to fundamental human problems like access to food, clean water, clean air, clean water, and mobility, as well as healthcare technology. So, this is something I've talked about before on my previous episode on this. To stop right there and just say about it is that I've not talked too much about healthcare. Now, several years back, I've actually talked about something that they may end up coming into healthcare, and then I ended up talking about this in my last episode about getting involved in talking about more about healthcare or healthcare tech. And this is very interesting because a lot of people are starting to look about over on health, which health is important, and if you bring health into play, I think that's where you're going to end up selling a lot for a lot of people. This situation. So, yeah, basically, I mean, if you're talking about anyone that's using the health tech, will probably just be doctors, nurses that will use the tools to create these kind of innovations that keep up your blood work, your basically your it's basically your heart rate, and also we've seen that now with Apple Watches. Those are really cool. I like just the fact that we've racing plenty of those embedded into smartwatches now, and that will probably be something that over time there will be a lot more medical devices that's gonna end up improving over the years ahead. So continue on. I mean, and I've said this in the past with AI. No, so in no doubt, AI is gonna change a lot of things. Whether you like the things of AI or not, AI is here to stay. So AI is everywhere again this year, and there are specific trends we should keep an eye out for. Generative AI is affecting virtually every area, just about major exhibitors will be talking about AI in one form or another at CES this week. For businesses, the focus is more on enterprise and productivity, but for individuals, it's about personalization. We'll see exhibitors such as PC companies focusing on personalization in new products for the PC and laptop markets. And then there's AI being used in mobility and not just in features for cars, but and self-driving. It's for all sorts of vehicles, including architectural products from companies like Caterpillar and John Deere. Wow, incredible. And so there's a lot to go over, and I'm not going to try to go over too much in this episode because a lot to squeeze in. But it's important because I definitely am really impressed with what things are going to happen in NVIDIA side. And one's cap goes to Intel, and who knows. But we're going to get into bit in greedy details on what's basically the biggest impression of the CES. And first, I want to go over on the glasses technology. Now, one I think many are going to look over or look past this is called X Reels. X Reels, new one, Pro AR glasses at CES. So I've looked over at the glasses. The glasses tech doesn't look too bad. Now I can't really go further on to comment too deep into it because I know a lot of guys are very interested into AR, the augmented reality glasses. Now, one thing I can tell you is in my view on this, I think it looks sexy, right? It looks very sleek compared to Apple's Vision visor. And I don't know about you. I don't think the Apple Vision Pro visors looks sexy at all. I mean, it just covers your whole face over, and it doesn't it really represent anything much. Now with the visor, I think it would be very cool if they were to improve the AR technology and all the technologies that they can do to improve on the visor glasses. Like for instance, if I wanted to, make these glasses work for me. Let's say, for example, I wanted to have them. I want to respond to a text message, right? But I'm walking, I'm doing stuff out on the go. But I don't want to be down, bending down and looking down the screen all the time, right? And let's say if you have to focus right in front of you, and you want to respond to a text message, cool, no worries. You can go out and respond to your text message right through your glasses. I think that'll be very, very powerful than having to go and touch your phone all the time, which, that causes a lot of accidents and other issues. But the glasses technology, I think it'll be pretty amazing what it will do than just for just seeing and doing that too. Doing, just information or notification kind of methods too. If the glasses were to just create a way where you can use it to, well, to for one, bring up alerts, watch movies, listen to music right through your glasses, which I think will be fine. Right there, because actually I did see one glasses tech for someone that I actually used to be friends with. He had actually the coolest looking glasses I've seen, and the glasses is just impressive. And I would love to see that technology go over and improve over time too. Now, if that ever happens, I mean, let's see where this goes. And so X Reel, I'll definitely put that on my list to so that way you guys can check out X Reel. This is on Mashable.com. But there are going to be other ones out there. I'll definitely share it to each and every one of you. And Then TechCrunch has covered a lot of events, especially on motors. Now, motor vehicles, that's a huge thing. I mean, besides people talking about the Lucid, the Tesla, and the Rivian. Now, Scott Motors CEO Scott Kerr says modern cars have become dystopian and disconnected. Okay, very interesting post. And this is a post that came up around yesterday, January 9th of 2025, which says here Volkswagen backed startup Scott Motors broke cover just a few months ago. And at this week's CES 2025 in Las Vegas, Nevada, they hold the honor of being one of the only American automaker with the presence at the show. That's not the only thing that stands out about Scott being here. Though in a sea of screens, AI, and voice assistants, Scott is sticking it to a far more classic approach with its two vehicles, the Traveler SUV and the Terra pickup. That means regular old door handles, now ones with magically pop out on the side of the car, as well as optional gas powered range extenders on both vehicles. And it means buttons, lots of buttons, at a time when many major vehicle makers seem to think physical toggles, levers, and knobs are pass. Not Scott's not anti-tech. After all, its vehicles will be among the first to use the software and electrical architecture from a newly formed joint venture between Rivian and Volkswagen. Wow, that's a quite of a team up there. Rather than this approach is in keeping with the company's lineage as a mid 20th century auto brand. The shadow of Volkswagen looms over Scott's efforts. Will the German giant really stand by and let a new American offshoot sink or swim? Or is it standing like a worried parent for what it's worth? Volkswagen Group CEO Oliver Bloom defended the choice to let Scott chart its own course at an event on the sideline of CES 2025, saying he was deemed to bring back an American icon. Scott Motors CEO Scott Hornet has taken that independence and run with it. The former head of both VW America and Audi of America sat down with TechCrunch at the show to share what it is like to run an auto startup, how he plans to take care of customers when vehicles hit the road in 2027, and of course his philosophy on buttons. You have run some pretty stored brands, Audi and Audi of America being one of them, and so that's basically okay. So stopping right there on the read, this is a very interesting. I mean, auto motor tech. It's of course we've seen automotive techs just as huge as we've seen in previous years, but now I mean everybody's into car tech now. Car tech is just as big as it once was many years ago. But you know, we're seeing now that you got cars are starting to at least improve on the idea of motor tech. And to me, this is just me, but maybe I'm just a little bit of old school, but I prefer, you know, just hands-on, the buttons of technology. I happen to like those things. I have nothing wrong with pushing the button, having ease of access, none of that whole screen touch thing too, not having to have everything connected via the phone. So just on my own commentary, Scott Motors, I would think it would work out well, because if you have a startup that's trying to, you know, make things pretty easy and not having everything simultaneously connected, and not having car tech just running out and getting into your lives, into your privacy. That's one thing, right? That's one thing I don't like to see is having the whole invasion of those car companies taking over and say, hey, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, all that stuff. No, no, no. And personally, I like to see these car technologies, you know, have show a little bit of a side of them that I would love to see with these car companies. And I don't get me wrong. I'm sure that the Tesla is sexy and sleek and all that too. But you've got to understand with car companies, I don't know what else I want to put out. Like those car tech are amazing of its own, but to having to rely everything on electricity, not that it isn't scary at all, but what I find is that the you definitely have a lot of the new generation of people, and now I go over with the new generation of people, and and they're very used to the whole connectivity thing. Look, I think electric cars are fine, and having a phone is okay of its own, but these people really do not. Here's how I'm just gonna put it out there too, and to put it out this way bluntly, and put it out there too is, um, this is basically the whole Tesla generation that, they're raising these young folks and they're putting this guy as a figurehead. Like when I say the guy as a figurehead, I mean Elon's this whole figurehead, and they think, oh, he's done so many great cars and he's outcompeted this and that, and these manufacturers they're not going to keep up. Bullshit. I hate to put it this way, and they think they know diddly shit and squat, but the truth of the matter is that they do not. And we're talking about people with the new money and the old money. They think they know what's best. And the thing about right now is, I'm glad we're going to see a lot more competition. I mean, and a lot more manufacturers are going to start coming up with their own model of cars, and especially not just a small bits and pieces of just what. But we've definitely needed some competition along the way. So I think it was fairly needed. And Scott Mulder's seems to be very, very different. So going over on this article here, which here it says, I think Scott is stored as well. We're going to make it more stored when we're done what we're doing. I think the first one is, look, you can be used to having a big operation behind you and a lot of people to do a lot of things. And we started, and we had basically no payroll system. We had no company car program, and it was me. So number one, when you turn behind you and you see who was there, it was just you, and you had to go figure it out and go uh, do it, and then go from there. I think the second thing is you're literally thinking about your survival almost each and every day. And I think at a classic traditional company, it's going to run. It's going to be here. Yeah, you're thinking about survival and what's going to be next, and where do you get the next funding from? Where the next idea is coming from. The third one is honestly a liberation, right? Because with running stored companies, you have stored machines moderating this big thing. It's quite liberating, and when you can come up with ideas and see it literally executed, and maybe not have to make 400 PowerPoint slides and present at 18 different board meetings. So there's a liberating side. There's also the panic side of being all alone. But I'm loving it. From what I've seen, it's it looks like a very, maybe not fully developed, but a pretty developed set of vehicles. Can you tell me about where in the process you are, and how much you expect to change, and how much work went into in getting a near fully developed point. You actually showed things off to the world. As Scott, we wanted to be a linger, pragmatic, straightforward brand. So we're not fans of like, here are some crazy car concept, and then it's never gonna see the light of day, and there's a total disconnect. And we wanted to be a little different, old school, and like, here's what we're showing, here's what we're making. As you figure out, we're pretty far along. We have actual mules out on the road. We're testing for noise. We're testing for durability. Uh, we're getting the mileage out there, particularly in the suspension, the drive units, and all of that. So yeah, we're actively testing durability, actively validating as we speak, and almost we're marrying the product to production. And that's where getting into all the workability issues, all the manufacturing issues, and all of that. So yeah, it's real, but that's what we're wanting to be at Scott's. We didn't want to show some dream that was nonsense and have it manifest itself in a real product. We want to be pragmatic and straight. So this is really cool. I'm actually liking this idea. In the way I'm reading this interview through here in TechCrunch, look, I like this approach. The guy has a vision. He's saying what he's saying. Now, it's not like some bullshit con artist that will go out in conventions, say something, and not present itself. Now, from how it's telling, it basically reminded me of the fact that about the whole robo taxis, and you'll hear the bullshit coming out from Elon Musk about the robo taxis, and the fact that he said that it's going to come in within 2024, or it's going to come out of this year, but don't worry, we just had some issues along the way. And there's no testing along with this. There's no proof about robo taxis. There's no proof about this and that and so forth. It makes you wonder. He's probably just talking out of his ass and not presenting. Now, where I'm reading this interview with the CEO on Scott, look, I actually liked what he's saying right there, because more and more of this whole nonsense, and they're talking about pipe dreams and shit like that, and you got guys like that. They're just, at least they're saying that at least they're gonna do something about it, and they're gonna have vehicles are not just concept, but vehicles are gonna have showcased, which is great. We definitely need guys that can actually showcase a vehicle, and not just someone that talks right out of their ass. So hear me out on this too, and not to be very cruel, but we've have seen projects that come and gone, and Scott's, on the other hand, I think it sounds pretty impressive. Um, from from what I'm reading, it sounds pretty good. But let's just see how this goes, because I mean, we've seen about a lot of con artists and people that say this and that, a lot, pretty much. And hopefully, when I see more Scott models, Scott SUOUT, I think it's Scout. Excuse me, Scout Motors, not Scott. I'm thinking. I don't know why I say Scott, but it's actually Scout. Okay, but I look at it this way: this is going to be an American car company, and this is going to be one of the first. We haven't had like too many car manufacturers being built and processed here in the U.S. of A. and you see a lot of these manufacturings coming from China, and you don't see so many of that there too. So I like the I'm like what I'm reading through this interview. Um, but hopefully, this is some sort of pipe dream bullshit that we're being sold up to. And I'm sure there's been people that were fans of Tesla, don't know if there's still fans of Tesla now, are just getting tired of about, hey, where's the Roadster? Hey, where's the Robotaxi? You've said that this is going to be fully developed. And there's a lot of people are not buying into the whole electric car model. Now, there are people that are still holding up to the dream of SpaceX, which, well, God knows if he's going to continue to fulfill the promise of SpaceX. I'm not going to keep my hopes high enough because why should I? Too, I think there's just so many bullshitters and so many of people that are saying stuff that, hey, we got to bring this out, but I think Scout, on the other hand, it's going to be something that's going to deliver, and sounds like it's going to be delivering. And so my first impression on Scout, and I'm going through the images on the website, and oh boy, I'm looking over. I do like the dashboard. Dashboard actually looks pretty sexy. Right off the bat, I think it's cool. I'm seeing right there. It's nothing like the Tesla, but I like the wood dashboards. And so let me just maximize the photo. And yeah, I like that whole cabinet feel to it too. This is quite sweet though. Um, Now the model, the look of it, I would say it doesn't have that whole glossy look with Tesla, but in a way, I don't want this to look like anything looking like Tesla at all. And don't get me wrong, I think Tesla, I think they've tried to work something where they were trying to make it sort of you know modern and trying to make it good, but when I looked more about where Tesla was going with their cars, I felt that there was flaws with their interiors. Like what I've noticed when I stepped in, don't get me wrong, you got the whole material that has that whole pro vegan, eco friendly material. But when I've noticed something is that the the wheel over time, when you're holding the wheel for a long time, and you notice that the palms are sweats on the material, and you notice that the wheel of the material peels up pretty easily. So that's something I'm just not liking. When I never liked with Tesla, and I never own one, of course. So anyone listening, I've only tested out because due to a roommate that had the Tesla. Now Harvard. Now looking at the side of the car here, Harvester, Scouts Harvester. So it's pretty cool. There's only just small images on it, but here and there. But I would love to look more on the Scouts. Scouts seems to be pretty interesting. Um, but I would like if they had flying vehicles. Let's say something that would be like air transit, which would be awesome. Now I did hear that was many years back about Airbnb doing like air what do you call it, like helicopter transit like with Uber, but I don't even think it's gonna work because for one I think the fares on helicopter trips will be quite expensive, and then also you gotta look of who's gonna afford the rates with helicopter trips back and forth. And now, as much as we want to have like Uber Air or like air ride services in the United States, I definitely doubt that that's ever going to happen. Now, you guys can call me wrong on that, but I don't know. I definitely love to see stuff like this, but the way things are progressing here, not so much fast enough as we want to see it. But who knows? The other scary future I could see. So moving over, the scariest future I see right now is the the fact we're looking over. and to robotics. And one of the impressions of about robotics going over is the how surreal it's starting to look now. More it's being developed, the looks and how these animated figure. It's just almost to a point that it may turn to human like. There was a tweet about this. I was passing by this morning, and this was early morning, looking up like the latest CES stuff, and basically they're like assistant bots, and there's people that say that they're pretty much used for sex bots. Not, I don't think that's just a use case of it. But that's something I wouldn't put hold on that and say, oh, these bots are used for guys that need companionship or love. Not That's not really the case. Now, I wouldn't even spend on that money only because not because of a fear I dislike robots, but the fact is that I don't want my robot to look like a chick, okay? Or it look like something really really humanoid and scary. Like to me, I want them to look like just like robots. Maybe close to a human hybrid kind of feature, but don't make it seem so human. I don't know. I wouldn't mind having an assistant. That way I can take care of other things. Hey, great and all, but come on now. I think we're just going to a point that things are gonna get real too close to reality. I mean, I've seen there was this presenter in CES, and he said that you can use this for companionship or for have it program as your girlfriend, like, or your boyfriend. I'm like, I don't know about that. I really don't think I want to keep those things because sure it may sound good for someone that's trying to find robotic love, but who wants that? Plus, that's just asking for trouble. This is like when you put a unit in your home. That's just the end of society right there. Yeah, end of human civilization as we know it. That's far as I can see from those units. I don't want to have any unit or have anything involved with when it comes to units. No, 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 no. I would not care if somebody offered me for $10,000 to keep this thing. I would not take it for any amount right there. Any amount of money? No way. No, 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 no way. Absolutely not. So that's why I'm just gonna go and settle out and go go through what I want to go through is just work on myself. If I have to hire a real life maid, that's fine. But don't make my robots so human like that I can't even compare who's real and who's not. And I think CES is starting to show the scary side of tech right now. And it's like this: like if you want a companionship, we're gonna have to make it really human like, and something that's gonna alter the looks of things too, but also not just robotics. So I definitely want to switch over to especially with Nvidia, and even over a year ago. I mean, a lot of people have talked about AI immensely, and now Nvidia's AI avatar sat on my computer screen and weirded me out. So there's a lot of weird stuff, right? And I knew like last year and the year before that things have gone very weird, but I think after COVID and you've seen a lot of companies starting to build more AI models, more generated computer screens, and now they're starting to look very very human on screen now. And an AI avatar, I don't know what many of you guys are going to start using AI avatars for, but you know, I don't know. Seems to a point that we've um, we've gone backwards from meeting people in real life now to AI avatars, and And this is something that I'm going through NVIDIA's right now. NVIDIA's unveiled a prototype AI avatar at CES 2025 that lives on your PC's desktop. The AI assistant R2X looks like a video game character and it can help you navigate apps on your computer. Okay, I think that says enough right there. Which, continuing on, the R2X avatar is rendered and animated using NVIDIA's AI models, and users can run the avatar on popular LLMs of their choice, such as OpenAI's GPT's 4.0 or XAI Grok, which is part of X now, or I should say Twitter. Users can talk to R2X through text and voice, upload files to it for processing, or enable AI assistant to review what's happening live on your screen or camera. Tech companies are creating a lot of AI avatars recently, not just in video games, but also for enterprise and consumer customers. The early demos are strange, but some think the avatars are promising users interface for AI assistance with R2X. NVIDIA is trying to combine generative video game compatibilities with cutting edge LLMs to create AI assistant that looks and feels like human. Yeah, that's where I'm kind of like in the fence on this too, because I've been so used to my desktop. I pretty much love the technology. If I want an assistant, I would. They should have just embedded it like not too long ago too. My thing is though, let's say if you don't want an assistant, like what is there any use to having an assistant? Now, unless if you're working on presentation or if you're doing something on your computer that you may need an assistance, maybe on writing, maybe on stuff like that, sure. But for the most part, I don't see myself using an AI assistant for the majority of my uses too. Now, we have come to a point that at least with I understand that they want to increase productivity and increase it where hey, I want I want this to help me with this and that and help me get through and navigate through the desktop. Now, if you're learning about computers, probably the AI system will help you here and there. Here's two things I'm thinking where this can be flawed is Nvidia's pet project R2X avatars. I see where they're going with this, the idea, and don't get me wrong, I think it's fine. They want to create something and that can change desktop um, the desktop environment and have AI. Look, anybody can have AI. I don't know. But having that linger in my desktop, this wouldn't surprise me if, let's say, Windows or Mac or people from Apple started to put embedded AI assistants uh, right into your desktop. And I can foresee this happening where things can go wrong. Um, I'm sure they're going to let people have an option to disconnect AI and just get disconnected where I don't want to have AI set in my computer. No, I don't think that's going to fly with people. I see that many people would not want to use AI or just probably just use the desktop for for fun and try to have a hands-on experience with their desktop instead of having it. But AI can probably be useful if it's users' responsibility. you know, I can see that right there. But about the impact, I'm I can see that who knows. This is something that it cannot be ignored. There probably be a good user base using AI assistant. Um, and now, would I use it? Probably I'll just test it out, but I would not be like an active user on that product for R2X, excuse me, R2X, which I'm seeing bits and clips on there, and which is a tweet I'm looking over at Matt Zeff, and on which it says, "Here's my demo with NVIDIA's R2X avatar prototype, an AI assistant that lives in your desktop." And then another one goes over here is that here is NVIDIA's R2X, but powered by Grok. Interesting. Um, but yeah, it's a very it's very different, but there are a lot of things that you can. I'm sure that with R2X, going to be a lot of things that will probably make things easier for the elderly or people are trying to use desktops for the first time. Now, if you are like a pro desktop user, you probably will not need AI, and that's, I think, a lot of you guys are someone like myself. I wouldn't even consider using R2X for my daily uses. However, seeing this one, not so much. I can't see myself using um, NVIDIA's R2X on a daily basis where that's something that will come useful. I really don't think it'll be any useful. Why? It's like, what's the point of using R2X? And when I could look up stuff on search, and the truth is that that's something that it may not even be search may not be a thing for a long term. And for those of you guys that don't know what I'm talking about, um, a GOG, which is an upgrade to search optimization, search engine optimization, and GOG, which I've been hearing for some time, little by little, in the podcast world, and which the acronym for GOG stands for uh, gen- generalization, or excuse me, generative, um, generative search optimization, or something like that, or generative engine optimization. So that's the term now they're starting to use and replace for SEO. Now, because of how they're trying to make search engines really easy for people right now, I think it's going to be a a cold winter right there. I mean, moving forward over within the next few years, who knows if SEO is going to still hang on its foot? Because I mean, I've mentioned this, and I know that briefly on my last podcast, like, God knows if Google is going to still continue to last long, and that's going to be a questionable right there. I mean, look, Google is still powerful. It's still behemoth of a company that probably it'll still kind of dwindle its way to survive, to living a little longer in this search engine race, but it's not to a point that if you're gonna not fix your search optimizations and get your mess together, and for a while, Google has been screwing up lately, especially if you're shopping in specific items, a keyword specific and images. For example, if you're searching for sofas, what's so screwed up is that they don't show you the most comfortable sofas. They'll show you this dingy chair, right? And doesn't accurately fit the description. And why I say that the SEO model is so screwed up because, I mean, you're talking about 20 years ago, or I would say a little less. It used to be pretty accurate with its engine search optimization engine. That you've had people working in the background of Google, getting things worked out the way it used to work. But now I think the generalization, optimization, and then along with AI working the background together, I think it's going to be a big deal. And the overall, I think it's overall in the scheme of things, generative engine optimization will be the new thing, especially if you're looking for me. Let's say, besides Google, let's say if DuckDuckGo or any search engine, particularly, uh, or any GEO engine. Let's say if you were to search me up on any search engine, any competitor outside of Google, you have to look at this though. That's where we're definitely going to see a new breed of work coming um, along within the next 3 years. And because I think if you're going to search for like podcasts, websites, that's going to collect data over time, and you're not having to put down metadata. Now, you can customize it in your own way and do that, but it's not going to be something that will um, it's like search engines are not going to be around forever, right? Like that's going to be a replacement. People are going to work in the background to improve GEO, which I'm actually quite excited the next step forward, because here's the thing, SEO, that's a three-letter term in the tech world. It's going to be quite obsolete now. I'm sure there's going to be some use cases with SEOs, so it's not going to die out right away. But I think GEO are yeah will be, make it much more simplified compared to SEO. Now, for anyone that doesn't even know how that works, because like for example, like anytime you are a podcaster, a content creator, what you would have to do is claim your content and make sure that your content is accurately correct. Now, and I remember years ago, well, Google made it so easy for anybody to disappear. Let's say if you're a big face, like a big Hollywood star, or a public a citizen or whatever, you might want to consider deleting your information out there too. Now, if you're just some sort of private citizen and don't want to get your all your information out, I think it'll be quite harder for people to not look at you. But again, if you're in Google, the land of Google, all your information is public, 100%. Now, that's why I think moving forward, this is going to be a very easy thing to happen. Now, that's a term that I first heard on SEO searchland.com, or SEO search engine optimization.com. It was a website I checked out many weeks ago. This is something I am very interested, and I've gone to the website back and forth whenever I needed some help along the way. But again, generalization, that topic, which I'm sure I will probably stretch further on that topic more on next episode, and maybe not the next episode, but probably the episode after that. But who knows? I think it's gonna do really well. So I have faith in that, where that's gonna go. Now back to the subject on hand with CES on here. Now we've gone over a lot of things. I would say not a lot of things, but there are so many things that CES presents. I mean, that's why I've gone through like websites like TechCrunch, uh, Marble, other websites that I go through and follow up the content and the latest CES news over on that period. Now I know I'm quite late on the subject, but I will say though, a lot of it is I would say there are good coming out from the AI world with Nvidia, and you know, it sometimes it's like when you talk to certain people about AI, I think a lot of people get very nervous that robotics and AI will take everyone's jobs away. Which I mean, this is something you're gonna have to prepare for, and that's why I say if you don't do anything other than just uh, work basic office job, whatever that your work contains, you're gonna have to keep up, and not everyone is gonna stay around, or your job is gonna stay relevant. Let's be blunt, plain and simple. And then lastly, I wanted to go over something that I actually think it's going to be very interesting, where the especially with the space and Lenovo is doing. I mean, I can't say they're doing something 100% different from the rest of the competition. Lenovo's latest form factors prove PCs can still be fun. Now, one good thing I could say is that a lot of these companies are trying to do something risky, and it's cool. And I actually like what Lenovo, at least they're doing something that's going to be a little bit different, screen wise, and something that's a little bit unusual. Let's put it this way, which states on TechCrunch today. Large corporations are known for taking risk. This is as true in the world of consumer hardware as anywhere. Annual updates are largely incremental, with small changes to things like screen resolution or image quality. It's a phenomenon that Lenovo is more than happy to buck when it showcased the latest updates to its PC line every year. The offerings are generally some combination of product and concepts, the latter of which may will never see the light of day, but they serve as a consistent reminder that it is still possible for PC makers to think outside the box, which I definitely agree. Now, as far as laptops, now if you're looking into laptops, consumer-based laptops, I mean they're still out there. Now, my preferred size and screen, I would say it's a medium 15 by 6 screen size inch right there, which I'd prefer over 17-inch screens. While they're bigger, I don't know, it can be too cluttersome when traveling, but I know a lot of people have very different perspective, and I'm sure a lot of people love big screens, and that's fine. But to me, I like somewhere down the road that I would love to travel with my PC, and that's not too bulky. Now it's better than carrying around a big ass desktop, but then again, you can always still get something that is particularly small, like a mini CPU with onboard graphics, which that's still possible. You guys can still create something really nice. Now, coming back into the portable form factors, Lenovo, as always, I think Lenovo, where I see with Lenovo, their screen sizes. Oh my God, I'm looking at the displays. Lenovo, it's off the it's off the chain. I love the screens that they're showing with Lenovo. So going over in this article in TechCrunch, a few other products showcased at CES are still firmly in the concept phase, but warrant mention here. First is a large screen desktop, which uses onboard motion tracking to follow the user around. It adjusts height or moves to the left or right, essentially the desktop version of the moving AutoTwist AI PC the company showed off in September. Notably, the case and base of the system were constructed out of a combination of bamboo and corn in a bid to move toward more sustainable hardware manufacturing. The system was on display with a wireless keyboard that executively charges using the monitor's ambient light. Really interesting. And I mean, we haven't had a innovation with the too much of that this last few years with laptops. But I think they're trying to still market laptops for anyone that's still trying to work um, out on the go. I mean, I personally like laptops over a phone. I mean, phones are okay if you're just using it to take notes and uh, do phone calls, very simple tasks. But I prefer that's a keyboard around. I like a keyboard, hands down. Keyboards. I like a unit with attached keyboards. That's just something I've always preferred. And again, that's something I will never let go of. Like on-screen keyboards, it has its place. I just don't think I would ever use on-screen keyboards um, uh, all the time. And I've even though I use it on a freaking phone. But again, with phones, you have to replace phones at least about 3 to 5 um, years of its life cycle until the battery corrodes. And if you decide you want to go and upgrade or change the battery, then you're gonna have a repair guy and to swap out the battery. And in comparison to a laptop, I mean laptops are still the way to go, and it's still easy to replace a battery on laptops, and it's not difficult. And the one thing I could put down is, well, let me take that back. Unless if your laptop is a MacBook, then no way. That's no way guaranteed your MacBook is going to be easy to replace because it has the glue and everything is your battery is all glued up in basically within the system, and then your onboard graphics. It's very difficult. Any model you get with Apple MacBooks over 2000 after 2015, because they made it so difficult now for repair people that's doing repairs now. Which honestly, my take with Apple laptops, it's not as easy as they used to be. And the only one I own is a mid gosh, what's the model? It's the 1278 A1278 MacBook Pro, and I have it. I still do, but I know that its lifespan is running out. And trying to find parts for older laptops is not going to be easy. And thankfully, with Windows-based PCs, what I do like better on Windows is everything is straight, simple. It's not as difficult replacing parts on Windows laptop. When you still have the basically third parties that still sells parts for these particular brands like HP, like Lenovo, and other small laptop form based laptops, which the parts are pretty easy to find on Amazon or on eBay. And the other brand, what am I thinking? Oh, it's Samsung laptops. So yeah, you still got some good third party, like what's the word I'm trying to use? Like third party suppliers. There we go. Like third party suppliers you can purchase, and sure, those parts aren't going to be in your home country. You're gonna have to get it in countries like Taiwan or China. But guaranteed this though, you're still going to get parts regardless of where you are. And now, and as far as someone like me that have replaced computer parts, now I don't know if I'll ever get into computer repairs or purchasing used laptops, because the more you're getting any of these parts from China and these more likely from Asia, wherever you're going to purchase your parts from. Now, coming in the new year, since now we're here now, January, today's what, January 10th, and moving forward over the Trump administration, I think we're going to have to see where things go with tariffs. I mean, depends on who you talk to. They say tariffs is good to pay off the debts, whatever. But at the same time, if you're a consumer, if you're purchasing stuff from other countries, then it's not a good thing. Because what a tariff is really is a tax. And I wouldn't want to spend more money parts or more electronics coming overseas. And as much as we wanted to have computer American-based computer companies doing computers in the homeland, that's not going to be possible. And if we did build PCs or sell them out there to the public, that would be very expensive, and nobody's going to buy computers in it. Plus, we would be pretty much taxed if we did, and that's why I do like free trade, and that's the reason why when it comes down to PCs from overseas, look, I just happen to like third party hardware coming from overseas because one, they're cheaper, and these companies still make damn good products overall. I mean, compared to anything. I mean, we don't build anything here in America, and as much as you see these computers, they say made in China, but and I know a lot of people will disagree about this, but we really do not have hardware manufacturing or electronic manufacturing, as far as I know. And but again, this is going to be quite of a hell of a year trying to find out where we are at in the electronic world and how people are doing economically and how people are spending their money. Yeah, it's going to be a challenging year, no doubt, where things are gonna go. Far things are covering in 2025 and over. Look, we're pretty much close to the neck end of the Biden administration, now transitioning back to the Trump administration. So that's where we're, of course, like just like everyone uses, we just have to go and find out and see where we're at. Find out, wait and see moments. Yeah, that's all we gotta do is wait and see. Okay, and then continuing on the topic right now, where we're at right now. Now I will say and take back a little bit because I know we still create electronic cars in the U.S. Now that's where we're at to this point, especially in like America right now. Now, if we have started, let's say anyone wanted to start a brand new idea, and we're supposed to be like the innovative, our entrepreneurial innovation of, just I mean, we in this country we've created something out of nothing, and that's what made America very unique, and this is why we used to be the powerhouse in industries of the world, but now, I mean, I would say the few things that the U.S. Does is probably steel and a few material that we export to other countries. But overall, I mean, as far as electronics, the world electronics, look, as much as people want to say that we could get back into our feet, um, much so I want to believe it. I will never hold my breath on that. That's that's not possible. So we definitely want to continue on and continue on um, following up on free trade because I think it's very, very important moving forward. And we should be allies and we should continue to get stuff from overseas because if we start to make an enemy out of somebody else, we're paying the price. Let's put it this way, too. And majority of consumers or majority of people that buys stuff, I think anyone that's listening to me would heavily agree that what we do not want to have tariffs on goods and services. And if I've gone to a store and let's say I purchase a brand new laptop, right? And if I needed to go to work or I need to store extra stuff on the side, I mean, those prices are going to continue to skyrocket. It's not just the prices of electronics. You're talking about sales tax and let's say other unnecessary taxes along the way. I mean, it's ironic that America was formed out of freedom and less taxation, and now here we are. We are pretty much the land of heavy taxation now, which unfortunately we shouldn't have to do that. And I don't know. Even though there are I don't know what kind of benefits I would say with Trump because again, um, it's like a double-edged sword. It's like there's one sword of that person you may like on him about this and about his side, and then many others. It's like it makes you want to roll your eyes and say, where is what are we doing? And plus, the funny thing is that even though people will say tariffs are supposed to be good, so that way make things harder for goods and services to come into our ports and come to our U.S. shores. But again, I think the ones are going to get hurt the most is probably consumers at the end of the day. And there's going to be probably less buyers, and the purchasing power is going to be less and less over time, continuing on as much as people want to believe what people want to say and say, oh, our economy was going to get better within the next few years in moving over. You wouldn't want to hold your breath because again, I'm not going to say that he's going to do everything all wrong and stuff like that, but um, you know what I like I said, watch what you wish for because again, if I were to purchase any electronic, let's say, I know I wouldn't even purchase from. I mean, yeah, you can purchase on eBay, you can purchase on Amazon, you can purchase on anywhere else, like inexpensive goods, like let's say Shein or Temu or whatever you purchase your products out. I mean, again, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, if I know that there's people that what they do is they go take a trip out where they are, and they take a trip over to Asia, some place in Asia like Hong Kong, Malaysia, uh, any country to purchase electronics instead of purchasing their home in their homeland. And that's where it gets pretty expensive. And there's an one example is I remember there was a time that I was helping a few years ago a lot of families in the Latin Americas, and a lot of these families they would go to the U.S. and purchase their goods because they got like if you go to places and purchase their electronics, like say Brazil has huge taxation on electronics, for example, and other goods coming from other countries. If you were to purchase online, and that's why people avoid making purchases right through Brazil, and then they would go to the U.S. shores to purchase. And I don't know why that's been always been the case in the in Brazil, where things are so expensive, especially when you're purchasing electronic or phones. But I know it's very expensive when you are purchasing from other places in the Latin Americas, and that's why a lot of people come to the U.S. of A. to purchase because there's no additional any additional tax regulation when it comes to purchasing electronics, and it's cheaper. But now I don't see that anymore because I remember going to other vendors outside of the big box stores. I remember a few years ago I went into a flea market and just to find a phone basically, and these vendors, I remember they were asking for like an iPhone for 350. I mean, that was, I would say, better price than you go to a big box store or an Apple store of all things. I mean, that's still a savings compared to spending the modern iPhone for 1,500, which, like, what the heck? You go inside the store, it's like, no way. Like, to me, that's why I never consider going through another purchase with Apple. I mean, Apple, in my opinion, is just a luxury item. It's really a luxury item. But anyways, I do think more phones are starting to become more of a luxury. I mean, you've seen Androids, and I remember years ago, people would go out and purchase Android phones because it used to be cheaper to purchase an Android smartphone compared to iPhones. But now it makes no difference who you buy the phone from, because you go and purchase a high end phone. Their Android phones are twice as much, and the now I'm sure you can still get mid-range phones or low-range flagship phones, like say still you can still get it from Samsung, Motorola, or LG. You don't have to get the latest and greatest, which I know a lot of people want to spend a lot more money. Which, again, it's like where's the money coming from? Because I mean, America. Sure, if you're someone that's still has money to spend, yeah, go for it. Spend it on big ass TVs and flat screen TVs and whatever crap that's out there. But I mean, it's still questionable whether the purchasing power is still going to end up becoming strong, which I highly doubt it won't. And I can see why cost of living has soared through the roof, and it's not just electronics, of course, but other necessities like food and water, for example. And that's already bad enough as it is. I mean, forget electronics for a second. I mean, and that's why I'm saying that 2025 will be a further challenge along the way, and it's not going to be fun once you find out that when you go through the next purchase of your electronic, let's say a laptop, you need it for business. Then when you go into the checkout aisle, you're going to end up purchasing the price of that computer, and then your addition is a sales tax and probably a tax on tariffs, which you're going to see that being affected along the way too. So trust me when I say this. I do think that these all these components that I just listed will affect a lot of consumers along the way. So mark my words when I say this, because it will affect every single one of you. So putting it out there too. I mean, besides that, the CES truly shows a lot of good new electronics, from robot vacuums to a new high-end tech that's going to be very, very promising. And like I said, we've seen some good tech and many weird tech along the way, putting it this frankly. But regardless, I think we're going to see a lot of very, very interesting stuff along the way. Closing in on the podcast episode 207 of CES edition, I want to go ahead and close out the episode on reading the cryptocurrency prices by market cap, bringing the news right from CoinGecko. So starting with the OG Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently going over for the price of 94,000 in BTC, and that 94,000 costs 1 Bitcoin. Then next is Ethereum, number 2 on the list, which is going for $3,267.18, and which last 24 hours was 1.3%, and the hour, as I'm reading it, is 0.1%. Third place is Tether, which is going for 0.9 cents. And fourth place is XRP, $2.34, which will continue to climb. Last 24 hours was 2.8%, and currently it is going for 0.2%. Well, as I'm reading through it too, we've had some good high all-time highs, but BTC is still kicking it strong, and that's why I'm still going to be holding the bags for the long road too. So trust me when I say this, because I do believe BTC is the future. And going over the charts, on top 33 is Bitcoin Cash, which is going for $449.80. Last 24 hours was 6.5% on Bitcoin Cash, and Leo token, which again, many of those tokens I've not heard of until now. Leo token, LEO, which is going for $9.32. And that is the current price of one Leo token. And Uniswap is 13.99 cents, and last 24 hours is 8.2% of today's charts. So that's what I am reading on today's. And overall, there are so many coins out there, which again, things can be very volatile. But if you are going to hold down on Bitcoin, for God's sakes, do not panic sell, because you will regret it. So anyways, that will be all for today's episode of 207 of the Leon the Great podcast. All your source in tech, crypto, all the fun stuff around the internet. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's put the show on the close and say to everybody, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode. If you want to hear more on the topics you want to hear, please put your feedback with your email, leon@leonthegrayentry.blog, or you can just go ahead and put your feedback through Satoshi's on fountain.app. I always appreciate it too, because even though we do have Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, those legacy podcast platforms, but you don't have to use, but I highly suggest that you go over and start using fountain.app. But with that said, everybody, thanks for listening to the Leon the Great podcast, as always, and thank you for all my fans out there, not just the United States, but all over the world. And to the people affected in California, I'll be praying for you guys tonight, because it is awful, and it's just a darn shame that you've got to lose everything in the LA area. So my prayers are all onto you. So with that said, have a safe day wherever you are, and a good day wherever you listen to this podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And I can't wait to hear all of you. If down in the comments below, make sure to leave a comment and see what else I should be able to talk about in my next podcast. So anyways, adios, enjoy.